NFL draft nerds, welcome in to Rogue Football. Fired up to be back here with you. Was away for a little bit, had my sister's graduation, had a nice family vacation at the beach over the weekend, but we're back. We're talking NFL draft, and we're still wrapping up the 2025 class as we get ready to embark on another draft class, 2026, which I'm really excited about based on kind of my early evaluations and looks at some of these positions. Quarterback position could be a lot of fun. But right now, I want to take a look at the 5 weirdest draft classes, in my opinion, from 2025. And I say weirdest because you never know how these things are going to work out. And if one or two of these bets that teams make end up working out that maybe I don't think will work out, then that can totally flip the draft class and the narrative on the draft class on its head, right? So this is just my look at the 5 weirdest classes, the classes that I just don't really understand what the teams were thinking all that much. And we're going to dive into it right now. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy NFL draft content, you are in the right place. It's all draft all the time here at Rogue Football. So we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns. And obviously they made a trade with my Jacksonville Jaguars, which I thought was a very good trade for the Browns. And I know some folks are kind of like, the Browns just passed up on the opportunity to land a generational player, a generational prospect in Travis Hunter, which they did. No question about it. But the quarterback position is the most important position in all of professional sports, in my opinion. And to me, the Browns did set themselves up with the ability to go get a quarterback next year, should a quarterback be available that they really covet and value, because they now have 2 first-round picks, right, for 2026. And I thought taking Mason Graham at 5 was the right play there. I thought taking Carson Schlesinger at 33 was a great value. I thought Carson Schlesinger should have been a first-round pick. So getting him in the second round, I'm here for it. Then you turn around right after that and you go get Quinshon Judkins. To me, that was a little bit of a reach. I like Quinshon. I think that he's powerful and explosive. He'll run through you. He'll play physical and tough. And again, at his size with his level of explosiveness, it's a pretty exciting player, but I thought that there was guys that were just better overall running backs that maybe provide a little bit more creativity, elusiveness, completeness to their games than Quinshon. So at 36 for me, that was a little bit of a reach. Then Harold Fannin Jr., you have David Njoku on the roster. I know they're not the same player, but again, 67, probably an okay range for Harold Fannin Jr., but probably on the high side a little bit. But what really confused me, all of that I'm fine with. And Dylan Sampson in the 4th round I thought was a good value there. I'm really confused about the quarterback situation. I just am, bottom line. I mean, you got veterans, you got Deshaun Watson. Now you draft Dylan Gabriel at 94, and then Shedeur Sanders falls to the 5th round, and you take him at 144. So the key to this draft for me was trading down and giving yourself the ability to make that big swing on a quarterback next year. What do Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders give you this year that you didn't have in that room? And are you making a bet that one of these guys is going to turn into your franchise quarterback? Is that the bet you're making with a 3rd and a 5th round pick at the position? Because the way I view it is, this was a team that, with that 3rd round pick at 94 and with that 5th round pick at 144, if they went and got more glue players throughout the rest of the roster to feel good about building that foundation again, more moving forward, I would have liked that. And, this is a team that, to me, I don't know how they didn't take a corner in this draft. Obviously, you love Denzel Ward, but Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome, no matter how much you like them, are both entering contract years. And to me, Martin Emerson, he fell off a good bit last year. He's got a lot to prove this year. So, and Newsome's had a lot of injuries throughout his career. So I thought that was weird. But the biggest thing for me is, like, why are you taking a 3rd round quarterback and a 5th round quarterback if the plan is to go get that quarterback of the future in round 1 next year? And maybe it's not. Maybe the plan is just to have 2 first-round picks. Not a horrible plan, but it just didn't quite come together the way I thought. And I really don't understand taking Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders at all. I could understand if you took one mid to late round flyer, and then you could still say, well, it's not a big deal because that's not that valuable of a pick. But to take 2 quarterbacks in the top 144 that probably aren't going to be your franchise quarterback just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And again, I really love taking Graham and Schlesinger, and I like Harold Fannin Jr., I like Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, but the quarterback plan continues to baffle me, and this is a team, that has messed up on quarterback about as bad as any team in the league, this regime. So really, really interesting, in my opinion, to see how that plays out, and it's going to be, maybe Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel can do it. I kind of have a hard time believing that in this environment. We'll see. And again, do they even earn a starting job this year? And if they don't, then what's the point? You're probably going to take a quarterback next year. So moving on to my next team here, the Green Bay Packers. And they're a team, I like Matthew Golden a lot. I mean, I think that was a really good value. Their first round pick, which is the most important pick. Good value. I like it a lot. They do have a lot of receivers. Absolutely now. I thought 54 for Anthony Belton was a little rich. I thought he should have been a 3rd round pick. They went and got him at 54. I do like him. I think that they'll have the ability to probably get starting level play out of him and have, times where his physicality and strength at his size is going to really be a big advantage for them. But again, I just think probably you could have gotten him a little bit later on. The pick that really kind of I struggle with, beyond Anthony Belton being a 3rd round grade for me, getting him at 54, Savion Williams, adding him to the mix after already taking Matthew Golden. And I'm not saying they have like redundant skill sets at the receiver position, but what I am saying is right now, Savion Williams isn't really a receiver. His hands are incredibly inconsistent. He does not know how to release off the line of scrimmage. He does not know how to run routes at a high level. He's a offensive weapon. Is that the best usage of a day 2 pick? Right? That's my question there. And I know some people say that, it was early for Colin Oliver and Barron Sorrell. I think those were good picks there. It really just comes down to, I think Anthony Belton was a slight reach, and I think Savion Williams was a really confusing pick because that's the type of guy that if they hit, they could be a lot of fun. I mean, he could be like, Cordero Patterson, something like that. I don't think he's ever going to be a real receiver, quite honestly. I have a tough time seeing that. In terms of like being a consistent guy, right, at receiver. And you have now Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Dontavion Wicks. How does Savion Williams even find the field? I mean, is it at running back? You have Josh Jacobs. You drafted Marshawn Lloyd last year. Emmanuel Wilson played well for you. I mean, it's a strange pick to me for a team that really could have used some value at some other spots, and there was value at other spots to be had. So that's the one that really sticks out for me with the Packers and makes me kind of question things there. And then my next team is the Saints. And first of all, I think 9 is high for Kelvin Banks. I know some folks thought that was a value. Some folks thought that was like, the appropriate range for Kelvin Banks. I had him more mid to late 1st round this year. I did not think he should be a pick that was made in the top 10. I think that his balance issues and the fact that he is a good athlete, he's got good strength, he's got good tape, but nothing stands out as elite, right? Nothing says this is a great player, in my opinion. I just think it was early. I really do. So that's the beginning of it. And then taking Tyler Shuck at 40, I was all on board with Tyler Shuck being like a 3rd round pick, but taking Tyler Shuck at 40, does that really elevate your team? I mean, is he going to be better than Spencer Rattler? and who knows what's going on with Derek Carr. So that just makes their life as a Saints fan, as somebody following the Saints, as somebody in that building, very confusing as well. And again, I don't have a major problem with this draft as a whole. I think Kelvin Banks has a shot at being a good player. I like Vernon Broughton. I like Jonas Sanker, Danny Stutzman, Quincy Riley, Devin Neal. I like these swings, but the Tyler Shuck one is just confusing to me because that's a valuable pick right there at 40 overall. And you're bringing in somebody who's, going to be 26, right? Soon. Who I don't know that in any way that's an upgrade over Spencer Rattler. Honestly, maybe it is. But I don't know what the path forward is for the Saints, and I've felt like that for a very long time. But I do like a lot of the guys they added to fill out the roster throughout this draft class. And, if they took Kelvin Banks at 20, I'd feel a lot better about it. So if he ends up being a good player, it's not going to really matter. I just don't think that the upside is there for him to be like this top-tier offensive lineman in the league. I also think he projects better at guard than tackle. But we're going to find out. We will find out real quick. The next team for me is the Texans, who I like a lot of the players that they drafted. I love getting Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, pairing them up with the guys you have. Obviously, Tank Dell dealing with that injury, but you still got Nico, who is a true wide receiver one. And you brought in Christian Kirk. Getting Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, I like that a lot. To me, Ariante Ursary probably went in the appropriate range, but I really don't understand what their plan was this offseason with that offensive line. Worst offensive line that they've had in a long time last year. Maybe the worst. And you trade Laramie Tunsil away. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me what they've done here. I know they added guys in free agency. They did, but are they anybody that really gives you a lot of hope that they're going to be good this year? I just still look at this offensive line and I have a lot of questions. And I think that they could have done a much better job saying we are not going to let the issue that plagued us last year plague us again this year. I still think that there's a chance that this offensive line can't get the job done at a high enough level for the Texans, for CJ Stroud to take that step forward and really compete, in January. So that's my biggest gripe with what the Texans did, just not addressing offensive line enough. Really kind of bugs me. And then the Bengals, this is actually like my least favorite class by far. I think that each of their first three picks was a reach. I really do. And I think there were even better options in the fourth round when they drafted Barrett Carter. But to me, Shamar Stewart is such a big swing. And hopefully for Bengals fans, they hit on that one. I honestly think the first three picks were just, it's like this is either going to be a home run or probably a strikeout. Shamar Stewart, the tape is so confusing. He just doesn't seem to have a nose for the football. And you've got to at that position. Demetrius Knight, again, more of traits than tape. For why you're drafting Demetrius Knight, it's more traits than tape, in my opinion. And I know that they have the situation, but at linebacker, but I just can't really get on board with that pick. And then Dylan Fairchild at 81. To me, he's limited a little bit athletically. And the tape is so hit or miss. When it hits, it's freaking unbelievably exciting. And you can say that about these first three guys. So I think this is the ultimate swing for the fences draft in terms of the difference in the potential outcomes. So if two out of those three guys hits, they're going to feel really good. Obviously, Shamar Stewart probably needs to be one of those guys. But and the good thing for Stewart is right now, I mean, probably Trey Hendrickson going to be there, so he doesn't have to just come in and be this number one edge rusher because he's not going to be that to start his career. It's a weird draft, man. It is a weird draft for me for the Cincinnati Bengals. Overall, I think that most teams had a really good plan. I think that this is a 6 team, but the Falcons with Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. I don't know how to evaluate the James Pierce Jr. being off some teams' boards and all that. Just when I evaluate the tape, though, I know some people think he's a designated pass rusher only. I don't think that that's the case. If he's willing to put in the work that it takes to be like a top player in the league, if he is just a designated pass rusher, I think he can be one of the best in the league because he has the ability. And I don't know why I don't see others really evaluating him this way. He has the ability, obviously, to threaten the edge with his speed. And when he is able to get you oversetting, he has the ability to work through you or work back inside. I see that consistently. He has the ability to win all 3 ways. He's got inside counters. He can get back across your face and threaten the quarterback on the inside. And he's just a demon off the edge as well. So, I don't understand that part of the evaluation that so many people have had. I think people are just really confused because of the off-field question marks. And I don't know how to evaluate that. But I loved Xavier Watts at 96, Billy Bowman at 118, Jack Nelson at 218. I like every player they landed. Obviously, trading a first-round pick next year for James Pierce Jr. is very, very risky. But to me, it wasn't among the top 5 weirdest, but obviously I wanted to talk about it just because a lot of folks are kind of like, what the hell's going on? But if Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. hit and they play the way I think they can play, and you get Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman playing some good football for you, I mean, you're in a really good spot. I think Xavier Watts at 96 might be one of the steals of the draft. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.